My name is Emily, and I'm 31 years old. What I'm about to tell you is the story of how my own family turned against me, how my roommate stole my life savings, and how, in the middle of the worst emotional crisis of my life, my financial advisor called me to congratulate me on something completely unexpected. It's a story about betrayal, about finding your voice when everyone wants to silence you, and about how sometimes the universe throws you a lifeline in the most bizarre ways imaginable. If you've ever felt misunderstood or betrayed by the people who are supposed to protect you, hit that like button and tell me where you're listening from in the comments below. And please subscribe because I share stories like this to remind you that you're not alone. Growing up, my family was complicated. There was a lot of unspoken history, a lot of passive aggression masked as concern, and a deep-seated belief that family loyalty trumped everything, even truth or fairness. I was the middle child, often the peacekeeper, the one who tried to see everyone's side, which, in hindsight, made me a perfect target for manipulation. I spent my 20s working hard, saving diligently. My dream wasn't extravagant: a down payment on a small condo, a sense of security, maybe one day being able to travel without worrying about scraping pennies together. I had managed to save a decent amount, tucked away in a savings account linked to my checking, easily accessible, but specifically designated as down payment fund in my own mind. About 2 years ago, my cousin, Sarah, needed a place to stay. Sarah was a few years younger than me, bright but restless, always flitting between jobs and relationships. She had gotten into some trouble, vague financial difficulties she never fully explained, and needed to leave her current place quickly. My Aunt Carol, her mother, called me, sounding distressed. "Emily," she said, her voice thick with worry, "Sarah's in a bind. She needs somewhere safe, just for a little while, to get back on her feet. You have that spare room, don't you? It would be such a help." Family helps family, right? That phrase. Family helps family, it was the family motto, trotted out whenever someone needed a favor that was inconvenient or costly for someone else. It was less about mutual support and more about obligation, a way to guilt you into compliance. Still, Sarah was family. I had a spare room. I wanted to help. I told myself it would just be for a couple of months until she found a new job and saved some money. So, Sarah moved in. At first, it was fine. She was quiet, kept to herself mostly. She seemed stressed, understandable given her situation. I didn't pry about her financial difficulties because she shut down whenever I hinted at it. I figured she'd tell me when she was ready. I showed her how to use the coffee maker, gave her a key, explained the house rules, mostly just clean up after herself and pay a small amount towards utilities if she could manage it. The utility contribution never materialized, but I didn't push it. She's family, she's struggling, I told myself. Over the next few months, Sarah didn't exactly get back on her feet. She got a part-time job, but complained about it constantly and seemed to spend what little money she earned on things like new clothes or going out, not saving for her own place or paying off whatever debt she had. She was often home during the day, watching television, scrolling on her phone. The apartment started to feel smaller, my privacy diminished. Little things started to annoy me: dishes left in the sink, lights left on, borrowing small amounts of money for groceries or gas with vague promises to pay me back that never materialized. I tried to talk to her, gently at first. "Hey Sarah, maybe we could set up a chore schedule? Or have you looked into any full-time jobs? I could help you with your resume." She'd get defensive, snap back, or just shut down completely. This struggling family member shield was always up. Whenever I brought up the money she owed me, even the small amounts, she'd say I was being hard on her, that I didn't understand how tough things were. My family, Aunt Carol especially, would echo this. If I mentioned to my aunt that Sarah wasn't contributing or helping out, the response was always, "Oh, bless her heart. She's going through such a hard time, Emily. Be patient." She's family, my own parents, while not as directly involved, leaned towards this too. They disliked conflict and believed the best way to handle family issues was to sweep them under the rug and pretend everything was okay. "Don't rock the boat," was their unspoken rule. About 6 months after Sarah moved in, she came to me with a new problem. Her bank account had been frozen, something to do with an old debt she claimed. She needed to pay her phone bill immediately, or they'd cut off her service. She said she had the cash, but couldn't access her account to transfer it online or use her card. Could she please give me the cash and I could pay her bill using my online banking? It seemed like a simple enough request. I was hesitant because she still hadn't paid back the smaller amounts, but her panic seemed genuine. And again, family helps family, I agreed. She gave me the cash. It was exactly the amount of her phone bill. I logged into my bank account online, navigated to the bill payment section, and paid it for her. She thanked me profusely, all smiles and relief. This is where my mistake, the one that would cost me dearly, happened. When I logged in to pay her bill, I didn't log out immediately. I was doing something else on my laptop, probably distracted. The banking tab remained open. I wasn't worried. It was my home, just Sarah and me. What could possibly go wrong? A few days later, I logged into my bank account to check something unrelated. I saw the usual summary page, my checking account balance, and my savings account balance. And I froze. The number for my savings account was wrong. Terribly wrong. It was significantly lower than it should have been. Panic seized me. Had I misremembered? Made a mistake? I clicked into the savings account details and scrolled through the recent transactions. My breath hitched. There were multiple withdrawals. Large ones. Not small transfers between my own accounts, but outward transfers to unfamiliar accounts, described vaguely as external transfers. They had happened over the past 2 days. And the dates and times, they corresponded to when I was at work, when Sarah was the only one in the apartment with access to my laptop. My mind reeled. It couldn't be. Sarah? My cousin? She wouldn't. But how else could this happen? My laptop, with my banking logged in, left open. She must have seen it. Taken advantage. The amount missing was staggering. It wasn't all of it, thank God, but it was enough to wipe out months and months of careful saving, enough to make that down payment dream feel suddenly impossible again. My hands were shaking as I closed the laptop. I had to confront her. She was in the living room, watching television. I walked in, my voice trembling despite my effort to keep it steady. "Sarah," I said. She turned, looking relaxed, maybe even a little bored. "Yeah, I need to ask you something. About my bank account." Her expression shifted instantly. Her eyes narrowed, a guarded look replacing the relaxed one. "What about it?" "There's money missing from my savings. A lot of money. And there are transfers I didn't make." I paused, watching her face. There was no shock, no surprise. Just tension. "My laptop was open the other day. When you asked me to pay your phone bill." She didn't deny it. Not directly, at least. She sighed, rolling her eyes as if I were the one causing a fuss.
"Oh, that."
"Yeah, look, I was going to talk to you about it." "You were going to talk to me? After taking thousands of dollars from me?" My voice was rising now, the tremor replaced by a mix of shock and anger. "It's not like that, Emily. I needed it. I told you I was in financial trouble. You needed it? So you just decide to steal from me? From your cousin who gave you a place to live." "It's not stealing," she shot back, standing up now. She seemed angry, indignant, as if I were the one who had wronged her. "It's borrowing. I'll pay it back. Every cent. I swear." Borrowing? Without asking? Taking it secretly? I couldn't believe her audacity. "That's stealing, Sarah. You stole my savings." "Don't call me a thief," she yelled. "I'm family. I needed help and you had the money. You weren't even using it. That was my down payment fund. That was my future." Tears were starting to well up, tears of hurt and disbelief. "Oh, cry me a river, Emily," she sneered. "You have a stable job. You live comfortably. I'm the one struggling. You can make it back." This was the moment I knew. Knew she didn't see me as someone she had wronged, but as someone who was being selfish by having something she wanted. It wasn't a desperate act she regretted. It was an entitlement she justified. "You need to give it back, Sarah," I said, trying to regain some control. "Immediately. Or we need to make a concrete plan right now for how you're paying it back." She crossed her arms. "I told you I'll pay it back when I can. You need to relax." Stop being so dramatic. Dramatic? You stole from me. From under my own roof. The argument escalated. Yelling, accusations, Sarah deflecting and blaming me for her problems, me reeling from the shock and betrayal. She refused to agree to any specific repayment plan, just kept repeating, "I'll pay you back," like a broken record, mixed with increasingly nasty comments about me being uptight, selfish, unfeeling. Later that day, after Sarah had retreated to her room, I called my parents. I was crying, shaking, trying to explain what had happened. I expected outrage on my behalf, support. What I got was hesitation. "Oh, Emily, are you sure?" my mother asked, her voice hesitant. "Are you sure it was Sarah? Maybe it was a mistake? Identity theft." "Mom," she basically admitted it. She said she needed it. "Well, yes, but needed it." "She's in a bad way," my father chimed in, his tone suggesting I was being unreasonable. "Maybe she just borrowed it temporarily?" "She is family, Emily." "Dad, thousands of dollars aren't borrowed temporarily, without asking. And she won't agree to pay it back." Now, let's not jump to conclusions," my mother said, already in damage control mode. "Sarah's young. She's made mistakes. She's under a lot of pressure. She said she'll pay you back. Why don't you just work something out with her? Be understanding." Understanding. I felt my blood pressure rising. She stole my savings, the money I worked years for. And you want me to be understanding? "She's your cousin, Emily," my father repeated, as if this trumped everything. "Think of the family. You don't want to cause a big fuss, do you? It will upset Aunt Carol terribly." The focus was already shifting. Not on the injustice done to me, but on the potential disruption to the family unit if I dared to pursue it. This was the core of our family dysfunction. Maintain the appearance of harmony at all costs, even if it meant enabling bad behavior and silencing the victim. I tried talking to other family members, another aunt, a different cousin I was closer to. The reaction was depressingly similar. Sympathy for Sarah, discomfort with the conflict, thinly veiled suggestions that I was overreacting. "Maybe you could just consider it a gift," one suggested, making my jaw drop. A gift? Thousands of dollars, stolen from me. Aunt Carol, when I finally spoke to her, was furious. Not at Sarah, but at me. "How could you accuse her like this, Emily? She's your cousin. She told me you're just making things up because you want to kick her out." She twisted the narrative completely, portraying herself and Sarah as the victims of my alleged heartlessness. "She's been through so much, and you're doing this to her? Shame on you, Emily." I was stunned. The entire family seemed to close ranks around Sarah, painting me as the villain for daring to confront the theft. I was the one who was being selfish, unfeeling, dramatic, for not simply absorbing a massive financial loss and pretending it hadn't happened, all for the sake of family peace. The gaslighting was intense. They questioned my memory, my motives, even my sanity. Maybe I had spent the money and forgotten? Maybe it wasn't as much as I thought? Maybe Sarah had permission, a lie Sarah herself didn't even try? Living with Sarah became unbearable. The atmosphere was thick with resentment. She acted like I was the one who owed her, sulking and making passive-aggressive comments. My family's calls and texts were filled with veiled or not-so-veiled pressure to drop it. I was isolated, hurt, and constantly on edge. My savings were gone, my peace of mind was gone, and my family, my supposed support system, had abandoned me. I felt numb, lost. I went to work, came home, and just existed. The joy in things I used to love evaporated. The financial loss was devastating, not just because of the money itself, but because it represented security, years of effort, and the tangible possibility of a better future. But the emotional toll of the betrayal was far worse. My family's reaction broke something fundamental inside me. The people I loved and trusted had shown me that their priority wasn't my well-being or justice, but maintaining a fragile, fake harmony. I spent hours staring at my bank statements, at the transfers, feeling a mix of anger and despair. I researched options. Reporting it to the police seemed extreme, and my family had already made it clear they would not support me, likely lying to protect Sarah. A lawsuit felt financially and emotionally draining, with no guarantee of success against someone with no assets. My therapist, thank goodness I was already in therapy for general family stress, helped me see that maybe the money was gone for good, but I could reclaim my life, my emotional space, and my self-worth. The first step was getting Sarah out. It was another awful confrontation, this time with Aunt Carol on speakerphone, both of them yelling at me, calling me cruel. But I held firm. I gave Sarah a deadline, 2 weeks. If she wasn't out, I would begin eviction proceedings, a bluff, but it sounded official. Aunt Carol threatened that I would tear the family apart. My parents pleaded with me to reconsider. But something inside me had hardened. They had made their choice. Now I was making mine. Sarah finally left begrudgingly, taking some of my things with her. More small thefts I didn't even bother fighting over. The apartment felt quiet, empty, but the silence was heavy with the weight of what had happened. I was emotionally drained, raw. I had lost my savings, and I had lost my family, at least the version of them I had believed in. I was grieving not just the money, but the relationships, the illusion of unconditional family support. I questioned myself constantly. Had I been stupid? Too trusting? Too harsh? Was I really tearing the family apart? Or was it already broken and I was just the one pointing it out? In the midst of this absolute low point, about a week after Sarah moved out, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me. Hello. Hello. Is this Emily? A pleasant, professional voice asked. Yes, this is Emily. Hi, Emily. This is Mr. Thompson from Evergreen Financial Partners. I'm your financial advisor. Mr. Thompson. I had met with him maybe a year or so ago. He had helped me set up that savings account, the one Sarah stole from, and had also advised me on setting up a small, separate investment account with some money I had inherited from my grandmother, money I had decided to invest for the very long term and not touch. I hadn't spoken to him since that initial meeting, just received automated quarterly statements I barely looked at, too focused on building up the accessible savings. Oh, hello, Mr. Thompson, I said, my voice flat. Talking about finances was the last thing I wanted to do. The word itself felt like a punch to the gut. Emily, I was just calling because I was reviewing your accounts and I wanted to share some excellent news. It's quite remarkable, actually. Excellent news? Remarkable? My mind immediately went to the theft. Had they recovered the money? Was this about Sarah? Excellent news? I asked, bewildered. Yes. His voice was genuinely cheerful. Your investment account, the one we set up last year? There's been a significant market surge in the sector you invested in. That particular fund has seen explosive growth over the past few months. I mean, explosive. When I looked at the figures this morning, I was genuinely surprised. It's gained over 40%. Based on the initial amount you invested, your account value has increased by. Let's see, I could hear him typing on a keyboard. Yes, by just over $18,000. Silence. On my end, complete, utter silence.
$18,000. $18,000.
The number echoed in my head, bouncing off the recent memory of the money Sarah stole. How much had she taken? Just under $10,000. She had taken nearly $10,000, money that represented years of saving for a tangible goal. And now, completely unexpectedly, I had gained $18,000 from an account I had almost forgotten about. Emily, are you there? Mr. Thompson sounded slightly concerned by my silence. Yes, I'm here. I managed to croak out. My voice was barely a whisper. Are you all right? You sound a little quiet. Is this not good news? Good news? It was more than good news.
It was
surreal. A cosmic joke. A twisted lifeline thrown just as I felt myself drowning. I had been consumed by the loss, the betrayal, the feeling that my future had been stolen. And here was this man, telling me I was not only okay financially, but better off than I had been before the theft. The universe had just handed me back my stolen savings, plus interest, at the exact moment I had lost all hope. No, Mr. Thompson, I said, finding my voice, a strange, shaky laugh escaping my lips.
It's
very good news. Unbelievably good news, actually. Wonderful. I thought you'd be pleased, he said warmly. It's not often we see gains this substantial in such a short period. I really wanted to call and congratulate you personally. It shows the value of long-term investing, of course, but this was an exceptional market movement. Great timing on your part. Great timing. My great timing was completely accidental, the result of following advice and then being too preoccupied with my main savings goal to pay attention. And the reason I hadn't fully collapsed under the weight of the theft was this hidden buffer, this unexpected windfall. We talked for a few more minutes. He explained the market conditions, the performance of the specific fund. I listened, nodding numbly, the sheer absurdity of the situation washing over me. My family had broken my heart and stolen my security, and a phone call about a stock market fluctuation was starting to put the pieces back together, financially at least. After hanging up, I just sat there, the phone still in my hand. I started to laugh, a hysterical, tearful laugh. It was funny, wasn't it? Horribly, tragically funny. The thing that had caused me so much pain, so much conflict, so much loss, had been rendered financially moot by pure, dumb luck and a little bit of forgotten foresight. The money didn't fix the betrayal, of course. It didn't mend the broken trust with my family. It didn't erase the nasty things Sarah had said, or the way my family had treated me. But it did remove one massive layer of stress and vulnerability. I wasn't financially ruined. I could still pursue my dream of a down payment, perhaps even sooner now, thanks to this unexpected gain. The call felt like permission. Permission to let go of the financial aspect of the theft. To stop chasing Sarah for money she clearly had no intention of returning. To stop pleading with my family to see reason because reason had nothing to do with it. Their reaction wasn't about the money. It was about control, about their discomfort with conflict, about their inability or unwillingness to hold Sarah accountable, and their expectation that I should sacrifice my own well-being for their comfort. With the financial pressure eased, I could focus on the real wound, the relationships. I made the difficult decision to cut ties with my immediate family and Aunt Carol for a while. I sent a group text message. Impersonal, yes, but I couldn't face another round of gaslighting and manipulation in person or over the phone. I wrote to Mom, Dad, Aunt Carol, other family members who had sided against me. What happened with Sarah wasn't just about money. It was about trust, honesty, and how we treat each other. When I was hurt and betrayed, I needed your support. Instead, I was blamed, dismissed, and pressured to pretend it didn't happen. That showed me where I stand. I need time and space to heal from this. I won't be in contact for a while. I hope one day you can understand the damage that was done, not just by Sarah, but by your reaction. The responses were varied, but none were apologetic. More accusations of being dramatic, cold, overreacting. More insistence that I was the one hurting the family. It solidified my decision. The peace I felt after sending that message, despite the sadness, was immense. It was the peace of finally choosing myself. The following months were a period of intense emotional work. Therapy was crucial. I processed the anger, the hurt, the confusion. I learned about enabling behavior, narcissistic traits, and the dynamics of dysfunctional families. I learned that I wasn't crazy for expecting basic honesty and support from my loved ones. I learned that setting boundaries wasn't cruel, it was necessary for my survival. I didn't pursue legal action against Sarah. The financial gain from my investment account made it feel less urgent, and the emotional cost of engaging with her and the family through the legal system felt too high. I accepted the money Sarah stole as the price of a painful, but ultimately necessary, lesson. The unexpected windfall meant I could afford that lesson without derailing my future. My relationship with my family is permanently changed. There's no full reconciliation, at least not in the way things were before. Some family members occasionally reach out with tentative, superficial contact, acting as if nothing happened. I respond politely, but keep them at a distance, careful not to get drawn back into the old patterns. Others, like Aunt Carol and Sarah, I have no contact with at all. It's still painful sometimes, especially during holidays or family events I hear about from distant relatives. There's a sense of loss, a mourning for the family I wished I had. But that grief is slowly being replaced by a sense of peace and self-respect. The financial advisor's call remains one of the most bizarre moments of my life. It came at my lowest point, a stark contrast between the ugly reality of human betrayal and the impersonal, serendipitous growth of an investment. It felt like a sign that despite the darkness I was experiencing, there was still potential for good things, for growth, for unexpected fortune, both literal and figurative. That stolen money represented years of work, discipline, and hope. My family's reaction represented a deep-seated pattern of denial and emotional immaturity. My response represented a shift from passive people-pleaser to someone willing to stand up for herself, even when it meant standing alone. And that unexpected financial blessing. It felt like the universe nudging me, saying, "You're going through hell, but keep going. Things will be okay. You are resilient." I used the unexpected gain, along with the remaining savings Sarah didn't steal, to put a significant down payment on a small condo, my original dream. Moving into that space, my own space, felt like reclaiming my life, physically and emotionally. It was a sanctuary, a place where I set the rules, where honesty was valued, and where I was safe from emotional manipulation and theft. Looking back, the whole experience was devastating, but it was also a catalyst. It forced me to confront uncomfortable truths about my family and about myself. It pushed me to set boundaries I should have set years ago. It showed me the incredible strength I had, even when I felt weakest. And it taught me that while you can't control the actions of others, or even the random fluctuations of the stock market, you can control how you respond, how you heal, and how you build your own future, brick by brick, boundary by boundary. Thank you for listening to my story. It's been a difficult journey, but sharing it feels like another step in the healing process. If anything I've shared resonated with you, the betrayal, the struggle for validation, the painful process of setting boundaries with family, please hit that like button. Have you ever had to stand up to family members to protect yourself? Share your experience or your thoughts in the comments below. Your stories help others feel less alone. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories about navigating complex relationships and finding your strength. Remember, your peace and your truth are worth protecting, even if it means walking away from people who are supposed to love you unconditionally. You have the power to build a life that is safe, authentic, and truly your own.